Good, good, man. Let me kind of play around some stuff here real quick.
You do
I
that.
want to make sure I can see the chat in case anyone asks any questions. Um, so, really, the way this works, everyone, first of all, thank you for watching. If this is your first time watching one of these episodes, thank you so much for jumping on. If you're watching live or if you're watching this as a recording, we really appreciate you. Um, we love questions. I'm just going to come out and say that there are a lot of myths out there about CEA. There's a lot of myths about indoor ag and growing hydroponically and all these things. And so, if you heard something on TV or you heard something from a friend and you're like, I don't know if that's real, I don't know if that's true, pop that question here and we'll do our best to answer it, whether that's live or a year from now. We'll see the comment and we'll do our best to get it answered. So um, please shoot us questions. Also, later in this episode, we're also going to do a giveaway. Must be present to win. So once we kind of get a couple more bodies on here and more people watching, maybe 7:30, 7:35 ish, we'll do something and we'll do a giveaway. So, um, Aaron, man, again, dude, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I know it's a Wednesday evening and you got a family and there's a lot going on. So I really appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. If you could just let's just start from the beginning. Give us your introduction, what you do for Eden Green, and we'll go from there, man.
Yeah, thanks so much for the opportunity. Wednesday nights are awesome, so I like it. A little break up in the middle of the week, right?
Yeah.
But this is really fun. So thanks again. Um, my name's Aaron Fields, and my title is VP of Ag at Eden Green, but I do a whole lot of everything. It's sometimes hard to explain, but when it comes down to it, I head up a team of really awesome growers, and we are responsible for all things plants in our beautiful greenhouses.
Yeah. I mean, essentially, yeah, that's it, right?
That's it. That's
Yeah,
all.
Eden Green Kingdom. Like, what do you like to do, man?
Good question. So I'm a dad of two. So I'm full soccer dad mode right now. I coach my girls' soccer teams. They're 3 and 8. And so we are that's got most of my time. It's like work and then come home with the kids. But we have a ton of fun together as a family. Sports, love baseball, go Cardinals, love watching football, love sports in general. It's about March Madness, so I'm really pumped. Outdoors, I'm outdoors a lot. I have an actual dirt garden in my backyard. That's like my therapy area. So
Nice.
yeah, but that's the music and outdoors. That's me.
Yeah. No, no. So, dude, one of my favorite memories ever, and I this will pop up all the time, is that video of you longboarding
uh,
with a head of
yeah,
romaine lettuce. You took
yeah,
a rib
yeah,
a
yeah.
bite
That's
while
so
you
cool.
longboard. Yeah.
That was probably like the peak of my coolness in my life. Like that's as good as it's ever going to get, right? Like I
Yeah.
got, and that's it. I'm okay with that. Like that's a big win for me.
It was a good one. Yeah,
Two
it was a
things at
big.
once. I was like 40 something, so that's I'm all right with that. Like we can go coast home from here.
Yeah, coolest boss ever, right? It's
Right?
like
Yeah,
that is
sure.
your brag. You're like, so when you're interviewing somebody now, they'll be like, so what do what is it like working with you? And then you just
Right.
pop up and show them this video of you
Yeah.
longboarding.
Can I just have that on like repeat in the back of my office, like
Yeah,
behind
just
all the time?
just
Yeah,
on a loop, just
that'd be awesome.
longboarding.
Yes.
You mentioned baseball. How are you feeling about? I know you're from St. Louis originally. We'll get into that, but how are you feeling about the Cards?
Loving it this year. No, I'm not. I'm really scared. Like 99% scared and 1% excited, or maybe it's the other way. I don't know.
Yeah,
But I'm ready for it to start. This is the first year I'm not going to see them play in St. Louis, but we are going to go to Houston. For all
okay.
you Astros fans, I'm not an Astros fan. Yeah,
Yeah,
right. I'll go to Houston and watch the Astros lose to my Cardinals. It's gonna be great. So,
yeah. That'd be nice. That'd be
yeah,
nice.
right
So,
on.
did the World Series run do anything for you
No,
last year? Yeah.
nope.
Oh,
Hey, it brought back memories of when the Cardinals beat the Rangers in the World Series. That was cool.
wow, wow, wow. Yeah, those highlights. They showed those highlights as like revenge. It's
Oh,
like we got.
that was great. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, I like it for that reason. I like watching the Astros lose. That's cool. So
yeah. Oh my gosh, man. Well, we can connect on that. We both
we'll
enjoy
see.
watching the
Yeah,
Astros
that's a
lose.
bigger conversation, right? That's
Yeah,
a whole other
yeah.
podcast.
Sorry,
Right.
any Astros fans watching this. Not sorry. I'm not
Not
sorry
sorry.
at all.
Sorry at all. No.
Yeah.
Cheaters. What?
Okay. So yeah. So as a VP of Ag, that's kind of a it's kind of a broad title. You have a grow team that you are working with, obviously, all things plant side, plant science. Um, what exactly does kind of like a I'm not even gonna say day to day. I'm gonna say like week to week because I know so much goes on a weekly basis. So, what are
I
some of the
feel
things that you come up against on a weekly basis that you got to
I feel
handle?
like you have to throw in startup in there as the VP of a startup CEA company because
There you
that
go.
plays a big difference in what a VP is first off, and then actually what I do during the day.
Yeah.
Um,
Nice. Nice.
sometimes you just make people feel better, right? Sometimes you just talk to plants, listen to plants.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all the above, though. You're walking around the site. You are trying to. You thought about it earlier. You're kind of an ambassador for plants. And that sounds really cheesy, but it's true. Everybody in our company, every department needs something from our plants. That's what we do. We grow plants, we sell plants, we pack plants, we do everything based around plants, control our facilities around plants. So the grow team is there to like speak for the plants, right? And so you're there to represent all the things happening around the plants in the greenhouse and what we need to do and who they need to be, who needs to work on what and how we need to pack this and what this is the best for and what the spec is and what sales can expect and what everybody can expect to see when they come in our greenhouse. Make sure the plants are healthy and happy. And then also just team building. Like my team has a lot going on right now, and they always do, which is awesome. But it's a lot of us just sitting and chatting and talking about what's going on, brainstorming, a lot of brainstorming. But at the end of the day, we're just helping people understand plants better and how to make that work for our company.
Yeah. So, talk about your team a little bit. How many individuals? What do they do? How did you structure that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, traditionally, I've been a traditional grower in the past at other greenhouse companies, and that usually lines up one grower and one greenhouse, and you're one with your greenhouse, and it's like a relationship.
Yeah.
So I had someone tell me like walking into a new greenhouse is like dating somebody for the first time. Like you got to get to know each other, you got to feel things out. That's how traditionally people run greenhouse businesses, and that works out well. We take a little bit different approach. I wanted this to be a team effort. Didn't want some of the egos that come along with growers
Yeah.
and greenhouses, both good and bad. Some of the subconsciousness or consciousness that people get when they're talking about their greenhouse. And so I wanted people to feel open. I wanted it to be a safe place. I wanted it to be an area where everyone's ideas mattered and lots of different ideas. So I have a team of 5 people that we call growers that are well versed in our grow systems. We kind of adhere to the plant empowerment theories and greenhouse technology and greenhouse systems. And we use all that as a team to run all of our greenhouses. And that way we have a group, I think of it as like mission control at NASA. You have someone that specializes in one area, but when we all come together, you have to pay close attention to that whole lunar module going up there, landing on the moon, right? And it takes a lot of attention, a lot of science, but it takes a lot of teamwork. And I think being a team and having that approach is way beneficial to us doing our jobs.
Yeah. That's so interesting. How many team members is there?
There's 5 growers on our team right now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's for two different greenhouses at this point,
That's
right?
for 2. That will be for 3. That would be for a bunch, quite
Yeah.
frankly. Like that team of growers will probably add some things, and we're really trying to define what those specialties are. Like all of a sudden, you need a data analyst, right? But do you want your data analyst to understand plants, or are they just a data analyst? And you need someone that does IPM. Is that really plant growing? But it plays in. So we're really exploring how we want that team to evolve and grow out. And I think that's going to be a part of the fun.
Yeah, and I definitely, don't share any trade secrets if you don't want to, but
We have no
as
secrets.
yeah, as you're looking at this, CEA is so new relatively to ag, right? Um, our company is new, right?
Right.
Uh, our uh, our system is new, and so you came into this company and you came into this system that had been trialed a little bit, but really not really. I mean, you've been with the company for 5 years, right?
Yeah, I
It's
have.
five,
Yeah,
yeah,
5
five.
years. Yeah.
And so, you've seen a lot. I know you've seen a lot of different changes, and
I have.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, as you're growing with this company, as you're growing with this system, in a new type of the agriculture as a whole, like you are developing something literally from the ground up, and you are building something from the ground up. And so you have this team and you are structuring them in a sense where they have unique focuses and individual focuses and specialties. How do you know if it's working?
That's a great question. That's a question the industry I think as a whole struggles with, not just us. But specifically to us, like it all comes out in your plants. It all comes out in your product, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about having a great head of lettuce at the end of whatever your crop turn is. It's a great head of lettuce that's healthy on a time span with a certain amount of labor and a certain package and a certain temperature and a certain amount of resources that you use for that. All that has to come together into every single head of lettuce that comes out of our greenhouse. And how we judge ourselves as successful is really important. For
Mm.
me, um, right now, honestly, the more bored I am, the more successful I feel like I am. Because I feel like if I've done my job well enough, if I've built that template out well enough for my
Yeah.
team and the greenhouse team and everybody there, I shouldn't have to be plugged in all the time. And their dependency on me is something that makes me feel unsuccessful.
Mm.
Nothing should revolve around just one person. It should
Yeah.
take all of us, and we should be able to step up. So that's what I feel like. The less I need to be involved with anything, the better we are.
That's awesome, man. Do you think that this system that you're creating is unique to Eden Green, or do you think that it can work in other CEA spaces as well?
So there's an underlying question there, notion there. So I've been a little more vocal about collaboration within the industry, and since I've been involved in CEA for 10 to 15 years, depending on what part of CEA you talk about. People don't always share anything or talk about what they're
Yeah.
doing. We assume we're doing it the way everybody else is, but nobody really knows. There's no standard there. And you don't really need a standard, but that doesn't mean that you can't talk about it. And I think there's other people. I have a good whim that several other companies try approaches like this, but I also think that there's other companies that try like no nothing like this at all, and still very much revolve around the traditional one grower to one greenhouse, and that's great. Like if it works for you, that's fantastic. Um, but I think that that's a wider industry question. I think we do things significantly differently. Um, on some levels, but on a
Mhm.
broader whole, I think people are moving toward having a bigger team approach to growing plants
Yeah.
in the greenhouse.
Yeah, dude, I love that. And honestly, that's one of the big reasons why I started Greenhouse Gurus is because, I want to get in people from other areas and
Yeah.
other aspects. And, like, I understand companies have proprietary information, but at the same time, there's a lot that isn't, like,
Right.
and we're all trying to make this work, in a sense, right? So I
Right.
love that collaboration aspect. I really do.
It's a big deal. I cannot stop talking about that recently. That's all I say. We have some companies that we work with, like Pathosands, that was out here not so long ago. That didn't even they've been around forever and they never worked in a greenhouse before. And they're like, oh wait, you guys do this, and like we could really use that. And all of a sudden you have this relationship that's with two different industries coming together. But within the industry, we are so I guess it's people in general, but we are so good at judging failures, and
Mm,
not really in a harsh way, but we love to pick apart what happened when things went wrong, right?
yeah,
That seconds to disaster mentality, right? And you see it, and people go out of business, or people lose their job, or somebody gets a food safety thing, and we go, okay, and everybody in the world wants to chime in and say, I saw this, or I did this, or this, whatever. But rarely do you see somebody going, look at how awesome these guys are doing right now, right?
yeah,
And what are you doing right? I don't need your recipe. Lettuce is all the same recipe, but hey, this is really cool what you're doing. Can we just talk about that a little bit? Go as shallow or as deep as you want. Something will come out of that, right? Or hey, can your grower just come walk in my greenhouse with me? I don't have anything to hide. I would love that. Just stop by, have a cup
wow.
of coffee and let's go. I just think there's so much to learn from each other right now.
Yeah, that's huge, man. I love that. You mentioned a little bit about your past and your history. You've worked with some big names in the past, um, and you've done a lot of different things in the past. Can you just kind of touch on your history in ag and what I know it's long, man. I know, but
Yeah, no, 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 no. It's good. It's good to revisit the past. That's what my therapist tells me. So we're gonna do that. I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
man. That's how
Uh,
you know where you're at
um,
right now. Yeah,
right. No. you want to go way back, where I grew up in Southern Illinois, I was just about 3 or 5 blocks in either direction of my house, you would run into a cornfield. And so it was all over the place. And I could not wait to get the hell out of there and not be ever around farming again. Right.
Yeah.
So this is what happens, kids, if you say things like that. So, but no, and here I find myself growing food, which is awesome because I think
Yeah.
it's come full circle. So being growing up around big ag and then starting out working for a company like Monsanto. I hate that that company kind of has a negative connotation because I worked with some really, really smart people that did some really cool stuff for people around the world that really helped them out. That they go again, you don't hear about those successes at all,
Yeah.
right? The water they save or the nitrogen they save in other parts of the world. So, but that was a great gig. And so that's all row crops. It's corn and cotton and soybeans. And then chasing lettuce up and down the West Coast was one of the most, revolutionary mind explosions I've ever had in my life. California as a whole, running up and down the coast, going into the valley. The valley of California is nothing like the coast of California, and the mountains are different. And so then running down to Yuma, which is a whole different world. And just, but not only seeing that lettuce being grown and lettuce year round and seeing that agriculture on a ginormous scale. We don't do that in the Midwest. It shuts down in the wintertime. It never shuts down there. That was really cool. And Syngenta really helped me learn breeding and greenhouse research and trials and productization, bringing things through a pipeline. But I met some really cool people. I also saw exactly what I still believe the problem is. I saw the heart of the 2,000 mile salad, right? Like I
Yeah.
was in the middle of that salad. I saw your
Wow.
salad get cut, bagged, chopped, picked directly out of the field, put in a box, put on a truck in 5 minutes, and just
Yeah.
roll on out with all the dirt and everything else that came with it. And it was mind boggling in the middle of the desert, right? So that spurred me into wanting to go and do something that was better than that. How do you disrupt that? And I may not have been saying the word disrupt, but that's where my
Yeah.
head goes, right? And that's what got me to Gotham eventually. I had to take a pit stop at a sales company. I worked at Hummer International Sales Company, tiny little sales company, but I have to give them props because I learned so much being a salesperson. There are
Yeah.
connections I have now. There are products I know now. There are people in the industry I know because of that job to this day. I actually just caught up with a guy I worked with last night out of nowhere because he knows someone that's working on our new greenhouse last night.
Love
So
that.
it's crazy town, right? So,
Yeah.
but then you end up at Gotham and you end up growing basil and lettuce in a uh, like a trendy little greenhouse on top of a Whole Foods in the middle of Brooklyn on the corner of Third and Third, and you really feel like you're at the next of the universe. Like, where am I? And there's a part of me that's like, pinch me. Is this really real? Like, do I get to live in this really cool neighborhood, do these cool things with this awesome company? And
Yeah.
then there's part of you that goes like, does this make sense? Right? Like, a lot of people would come from the Midwest and be like, you guys making money off this? Like, it's just lettuce, right? That's all you have here, right? And you have to explain to them some things, and that education is lacking in America. But it was such an awesome experience to be able to bring that food to an inner city like that at a crazy
Yeah.
cool level, and amazing. I'm still pretty close with a lot of people I knew there. um, and I'll give Gotham props. I still think they're the one company that did what they said they were going to do. I have a ton of respect for them. Gotham Greens has built that chain of greenhouses across the country. They've stuck to their guns. They stay true to who they are, and they do what they do.
Yeah.
I love that. It's awesome. Kudos to those guys, and they do it well. And I think a lot of them would be the first ones to tell you they don't even have it all figured out, right? Like they got a lot figured out, but not all of it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so Gotham was great, and then I end up in Texas, right, chasing this crazy wild dream,
Yeah.
hitching to a star, as they say. And we were having a good old time doing that. So,
Yeah. So Illinois, California, New
yep,
York, Texas. Yeah.
Illinois, California, back to Illinois, then New York, then down to Texas. Yeah.
Nice. Dude, all the extremes.
Yeah, my
All the
dog has
extremes.
driven with me to all those places at least like twice. So he's
Nice.
hard breaking.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyone who's watching, if you have any questions, please pop them in. We will do our best to answer them live. Again, we thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. And again, like I said at the beginning, if you're watching this later and have a question or this just brings up anything in your mind, go ahead and throw it into the as a
Oh
comment,
yeah.
and we'll do our best to get it answered. But Aaron, man, something that is like one of my favorite things to talk to people about is like the career journey, the career path,
Yeah.
and not so much in the sense of like job, like what jobs have you done, in the sense of like what got you to that first job, and then how did that job prepare you for where you are now?
Good
You
question.
know,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of times it starts as a kid. There's
Oh, totally. Yeah.
there's an interest or something that kind of just
Yeah.
like really kind of gets you going on this path. And like you said, like you wanted nothing to do with it, and yet somehow you're kind of back here,
I
right?
am.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I do know that at a very young age, I had this dream to be a VP of agriculture. I had all these VP of agriculture posters on my wall, and
Shut up, bro.
then
You had all your like favorite VP of Ags like in history. You're like, oh man,
so true. Yeah, that's
dude,
exactly
John
right.
Williams. Oh my gosh, man, that guy. Let me tell you, awesome.
No, so, obviously that wasn't the plan. But at a young age, it was my mom played a big influence on me. She was a nurse. She got her master's while she was pregnant and raising us, and she was so involved in her trade. She wasn't just a nurse. Like she got like two. I remember she got like two nursing scientific article magazines every like month, and she would read them, and like to see someone that devoted to what they did was inspiring. But it was always the science that interested me. I've always
Mm.
been close to science, but I'm a little too creative to be a scientist. I don't like to follow the rules as much, and so that doesn't jive, right? And so, like, I like the idea of science, but what if we did this? And so,
You're like an inventor in a way.
I don't know what I am, but I know that that's what got me there. And so, when I walked into the greenhouse at Monsanto for the first time, I have a degree in like biogeography or something. I don't even know what my degree's in, and I have a lot of credit hours, like 160 credit hours in one bachelor's. That's a waste of money. Sorry, we'll get into that later. But
Good,
so
good.
no, but I walked in that greenhouse for the first time, and I had a very cool boss. His name was Lloyd Jones. And Lloyd was awesome and really inspirational to me, and he didn't mean to be. He was just a regular dude, but like he had this great blend of humanity and science and
Mm.
personality in science, and I never saw that much before. And it allowed me to be scientific on a research approach, and I still love to this day. I took some basal data today. I still love it when data paints a picture for you. That's amazing to me. I
Yeah.
absolutely adore that. Shout out to Chelsea, our grower, who does that. She's the best data painter I've ever seen in my life. But but I did that at Montana, and you got to do that, but you also got to be creative. You also got to create these situations, and use your hands, and that's what it really was for me.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about my hands a lot. I got to use my hands and still be in a lab and still use computer and see data. So this apply at that time it was like applied agriculture, right? It was scientific research agriculture, and so we got to go out in the field and dig stuff up and plant seeds and stuff. But you also got to come in and collect all that data and use it to do something and make a decision that made a difference later on. And I thought
Yeah.
that's really where that everything since then has come to that. How can I learn more? How can I do more? How can I prove more? How can I help more? Right. And that's really what this all comes from.
That's so cool, man. So
Huh.
when you were in high school, what kind of career opportunities were there for you?
None. Zero. No,
Yeah.
I was thinking about this a lot, because it was such a different world. I'm 44, and so I'm one of those weird generations that started high school without the internet. And when I got out of it, it was still kind of a weird thing. Like you
Yeah.
couldn't use the internet for research articles or anything like that, and
Yeah.
MySpace was just being born. But anyway, but like the job opportunities were so weird, and for me it was like environmental science like that. I didn't even know how to
Mm.
define that. I didn't know greenhouse was a career. I didn't know you grew stuff in greenhouses outside of like
Yeah.
Walmart had like a nursery where my mom got like her petunias from and stuff. So that's all I knew, and so like that
Yeah.
looks lame. And but I never understood that intricate relationship. I took one botany class in high school, and a lot more in college. But that I didn't feel like that was ever going to be a career. I wouldn't, no way. Like, it just didn't make any sense to me. It was, you could go do some research stuff, maybe honestly go work for the EPA or the Bureau of Land Management, but that was it. That's where I saw that.
Yeah. And that was in Illinois, right?
I was willing to go anywhere. Still am. I'm just kidding.
Dude, so in Illinois, was that a small town that you grew up in, or was it one of the larger kind of
No,
suburbs?
my city of Breeze, beautiful Breeze with an S, Illinois, is 4,500 people. strong, and it's the biggest town in the county. It's beautiful. I love it.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, yeah, it's cool. It's an awesome place. It is home, and it's wonderful, and it is small town Americana. You're 45 minutes from downtown St. Louis,
Oh,
but
nice.
it's a world away. And I adore it. My family's there, my friends are there. It's good to go home.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure it's a lot different than the hustle and bustle of Dallas and Fort Worth where you live now.
Yeah, it is. I miss my seasons. That's what I miss the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
How have you liked the winter this year?
Hey man, right now it's amazing. And was it 77 today?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. It can stay here. The spring and the fall are my favorite seasons in Texas. The week of spring and the week of fall that you get, right? It was the great Dan Funk that told me that Texas has two seasons, Christmas and summer.
Yeah.
I've never forgotten that. So
That's so true,
and
man.
here we are at 80 degrees outside in February. But they're also the hardest times of the year to grow in Texas.
Yeah.
So contrary to that popular belief, when it's 110 for like 60 days, that consistency actually makes it easier to grow per se
Yeah.
if you control the heat because you get this. It's the same thing every single day. The winter's not much different, but the spring, like it's 77 days, it's gonna be like 45 tonight. Like that's a nightmare. And like
Yeah.
you're jumping around with humidity during the day and at night. It's really fun actually if you start to really touch your metal as a grower and your greenhouses.
Yeah. No, that's true. Those 40-degree temperature swings are tough on everything and everybody.
They're real sinuses.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's the realest.
It really is.
Um, so let's get, I mean, I think this is a great segue. Let's get like really nerdy here for a
I
second.
like being.
So yeah, so
Should I
as a
put my
grower,
glasses on? I can put my glasses on.
yeah, okay. According to my calculations. Yeah. So, you just made a great point about growing in Texas, but specifically growing in a greenhouse in Texas, where you do have these crazy temperature swings,
Yeah.
crazy humidity swings, crazy storms that happen. Um, how do you, and like, I would love for you to get as nerdy and as like nitty gritty as you want to here. This is for the growers of the world. Um, in a place that's harsh like Texas, right? It's a harsh environment, regardless of kind of what's going on. Um, how do you make it work, man? Like, obviously, you have all these different systems and softwares and um,
Yeah.
you know just different systems that you use. But when you're looking at humidity and light readings and airflow and every single thing that goes into this, like, how do you know it's working?
That's a success question again. Um, so first off, there's a ginormous level of technology, array of sensors, constant data collection that guides us as growers.
Yeah.
There is a saying that says something along the lines of you can't use a monofactorial solution for a multifactorial problem. And that's how growing is. We
Mm,
compare it to a symphony. So if you really think of a conductor up there, it all has to be playing the same song. You have to be in time and in tune all the time in order for that to be this beautiful, symphony of plant growth. And it's the same thing. If something gets out of whack, that's it. Everybody's all you can hear it, you can see it, you can feel it, whatever. So for us, it's having you have to have the knowledge. So there is a knowledge background. Like
yeah.
I said earlier, we use a theory called plant empowerment. We really lean on that as a guide. It does not answer all of our questions specifically with our system or in Texas or for lettuce that much, but it's a really, really great guide to how to think about energy in a greenhouse, plant energy, greenhouse energy, outside energy. And that helps you wrap your head around how you can grow when it's 114 degrees outside without just turning a billion-dollar air conditioner on all the time. And you can manage that, but you got to know how. And then everything you change. If I want to make it the airflow more to deal with that, we have to change everything else because every
Hmm.
certain things, the catalysts of the heat and the sun are going to push the plants, and everything else has to be there in the right ratio in order to keep that plant growing correctly. Or you start stressing your plants out one way or another, and so you're constantly listening and looking at your plants, but in the data, and then making your decisions based on data, trying not to make too
Yeah.
many decisions at one time. I caution everybody that all the time. Like you change your vent P band or your ramp up stage a little bit, and then you're like, well, nothing happened. And what should we do? Is change something else? I'm like, just slow down. Plants are
Mm.
slow, and
Yeah.
People are not, and I have to remind people all the time, we are playing the long haul here. The average lettuce going seed to sale in 6 weeks, 5, 4, maybe. um you don't make changes overnight.
Yeah.
And so you have to be patient, you have to be vigilant, and you have to be willing to admit you're wrong. That's really key.
Yeah.
Think outside of the box and go, yeah, that didn't work. Don't try to beat that point down if it's wrong. Just recognize wrong early, and
Yeah.
and then go get right. I there's a saying I heard not so long ago that said you can be doing everything right but still doing the wrong thing.
Mm,
And I get that's the way I think about that a lot when you approach growing. So,
yeah.
and then we don't have a playbook at Eating Green, right? So, we've been figuring this thing out as long as we can. We have this awesome microclimate system. We have this amazing greenhouse system that listens, this really cool light algorithm system that we love. And that's been really fun to play with as a grower, but it adds a whole nother level and dimension to all those instruments. Now I feel like I have 400 different sets of instruments in my orchestra, and I'm like, I can't even see the guy in the drums in the back, and the big guy with the thing, like he's way back there. I can't see him at all, right?
Yeah.
And flutes get too loud, so but that's what I feel like sometimes. Like sometimes it's just noise, and you got to take a breath and just calm down and listen and listen. That's a big deal.
Yeah, that's big. I think it's so funny because so many people, I think in business, just in general, look for that silver bullet, that one
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
that is going to fix everything and make everything better and ramp up sales and, bring in more revenue and do all. And it's like, that doesn't exist. It doesn't exist, right? Like, I think even, and this is, I'm not a grower, anything I know, honestly, you probably taught me, and I've learned just from working at Eden Green. But like you're saying, there's so many variables, and there's so many um, things that can affect the plant's growth. And if it affects the plant's growth at any stage, it could affect another stage. And it's a hard job, man. It
it
was
is
like
a hard
growing
job.
is not easy. Even with all these fancy softwares and fancy tech and all the stuff that we have, it still isn't easy.
No, no, that's not easy. There's a little bit of a movement that this autonomous greenhouse challenge that they have in Europe every year, and it's really cool. Meaning no people in there at all, and every bit of science data results they've collected so far really points to a greenhouse doing better when you take the emotions of human out of it. But
Mm.
that's I'm not there yet. It
Yeah,
has nothing to. In fact, my grow team was talking today. We're not as much growers as we are data analysts, business analysts, and engineers that write programs based on data that you see. But at the same point in time, I can still walk in a greenhouse and tell you if a fan's not running right, and
yeah.
there's something there, right? And I don't know that makes it all worth it, but it's definitely part of the gig to me. I still think people really want to interact with plants, and plants want to interact with people, and I think that should always be part of the game.
Justin, what's up, my guy?
Justin knows who doesn't miss
Hey,
that guy.
what's
Yeah,
up, bro? Good seeing you, man. Thanks for watching, dude.
for real.
Bro, I will cheers you, my
Ooh,
dude. Yeah,
cheers.
I'm sipping on some of that slow and low.
Nice. That
Yeah,
sounds
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. Well, okay. So let me ask you this then: when you're bringing on new team members, when you're looking to hire more growers, um, I feel like what you are looking for has shifted from 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, right? When you're bringing in a grower. So what are the key things that a modern day indoor grower needs to know or needs to learn to be able to be successful in indoor growing?
Data, computers, programs, algorithms.
That's so
And
crazy, man.
it is, but you still have to get plans. You still have to know what's going on. Like I said earlier, when we talked about having a data analyst on our team, we couldn't decide if it was super beneficial to have someone who knew about plants or super beneficial that they didn't know anything about plants, right? Like just
Wow.
look at this data and ignore everything else. And maybe it's both. I don't know. But I know that having a team of growers that have kind of delved into these areas of specialties has helped out. And, at the end of the day, you want them to be able to take everything they did that day, and we all get to put it in this bucket in the middle of the table, and everyone can take whatever they want out of that and help make their decisions for their area. And then we all have this giant database of good decision making, hopefully. Um, and so I think what you really need is a keen eye on data and how an algorithm works, how a program works, what a crop recipe is. Your chemistry and your biology are always going to be important. You have to understand that plant. You have to understand greenhouse mechanics.
Hmm.
Um, maybe things like that, sensors, and how to calibrate sensors and read that out. And it can get as detailed and hands on as you want it to when you get down in the greenhouse. And are you able to fix a irrigation manifold, or do you have to call somebody else to do that? And should you? And so that's a whole other argument. But I think you at least have to understand everything you can about your system, from the plumbing to the electrical to the power source to your resources, all the way up to a giant
Wow.
database that you're analyzing using some special data analytics software.
Sheesh, man. So how would you recommend somebody prepare for that? I mean, are there
There's great programs now. I think that there is still, and I obviously haven't been in college for a long, long time, but I think there is still a lot for them to offer. I think they're listening a little more. I've seen academia be way more involved in what we do, both from a research standpoint, but also from a what do you guys actually do, right? And help write that curriculum.
yeah.
And there's probably 10 or more schools now that offer actual CEA programs, where before it was you could get a horticulture degree, or maybe a greenhouse degree, or they had a department that was based on like ornamentals and floriculture, but nothing like what we're doing, and definitely not with some of these big high tech greenhouses. So I would say find a school that does that, and let them show you what they know, and then reach out to people that do it like us. And we were happy to guide you along the way. There's a lot to learn though.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting point that you brought up about, that dichotomy between, do you want someone who really knows plants, or do you want someone who doesn't know plants and knows softwares,
Yeah.
And maybe finding that middle ground, or like what you're doing, creating that team where maybe you have both, right? And they have to
Yeah.
work together.
Yeah.
Because it's like a new era, it's a new age of growing. I mean,
Right.
you've got to find that middle ground and that connection between the two, or it's just not going to work.
No, you're right. And I don't think everybody gets into it knowing that. I think I've started to distinguish or tell people like, um, all these everybody grows up and they talk about they want to be an astronomer because they love looking at the stars, but that has nothing to do with astronomy. It's the same thing with plants. Like everybody grows up thinking they love plants, but it's not growing. You want to garden, that's great. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's awesome. Please go
that's
garden,
okay.
but like it's not the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. Dang. Well, okay, man. So I'm gonna need your help with this. So we're gonna do our giveaway,
Sweet.
and the way this is gonna work is, I need you to think of a question that has a very specific answer, and it can be anything. Let's make it plant based. So
Okay.
it can be something very like nerdy and in depth, or it can be something really basic. And
Okay.
the way this giveaway works is, and the first person to either put it in the chat or later to put it in a comment,
Ooh.
the answer to your question is going to be the winner of our swag box giveaway. So um, keep thinking about it. Let me know when you got it. But
I
once
got it.
again, okay, the first person to either comment the answer in the chat, or to leave a comment after this is over, will be the first person to get that swag box giveaway. So, Aaron, what is the question?
This is a geeky plant question.
Nice.
Physiology. Okay. What do you call the part of the plant that connects the leaf to the stem?
Okay. Say it
That's
one
it.
more time.
What do you call the part of the plant that connects the base of the leaf to the stem?
Okay. All right, cool. All right,
There are
that's
a
the
couple
question, you guys.
answers, but one glaring answer for sure. So yeah,
Okay. All right. So, can you see the chat, Aaron?
I can see the chat. Yes, it's
Okay, cool. All right. So we'll keep an eye on it. If someone pops it in there, great.
sure.
Um, and then if not, then I will watch comments and
Cool.
let you know what people are saying.
Nice.
But yeah,
Please
that's what
don't
we'll
let me know what they're saying. I'll just text you the answer and you can do that.
do. Okay. Um, okay, so let me ask you this too. We'll kind of get back into the tech side of things since that seems to be something that's very important to at least how we grow as a company. Um, in your opinion, let me find this question. Where'd it go? Oh, like what specific like technologies or tools do you find most useful in monitoring, maintaining like quality growth standards?
Oof, quality growth standard. My phone.
Okay, all right.
It's,
How
I
does
mean,
that
it's
work?
true. Like, it's why I buy the newest best phone I can when I can because it's the best tool we have. So many of our vendors, clients, and systems have apps now.
Okay.
The ability to walk around a greenhouse and change a light setting right there, or tell a vent to open right there on your phone. Um, isn't something you could always ever do. It's fairly new in my opinion in horticulture, and so that's huge, especially if
Yeah.
you're working in a giant greenhouse and it takes you 15 minutes to walk back to your office to change something, 15 minutes to go back out there, see if it's even working, right?
Yeah.
So the phone is huge. The technology of that, the integration, the communications of things like Modbus and BackNet that allow things to communicate um, through open sourcing is ginormous to what we do now. Growers used to have three, four, five screens you'd have to look at because everyone's chucking software at you that their sensor used, and now you can just be like, "Hey, listen, you all need to talk to this, or I don't want to use it." That one screen to rule them all. That's our mantra, and
Nice. So
uh,
is there
yeah.
any specific like technology or software maybe that we're not even using but that you've just seen out there that you're really excited about right now?
So that drone fly through it got my brain spinning.
Yeah.
We actually just had a company come in that does drones that uses infrared and special cameras to measure leaf area on plants and basically
Wow.
scout your plants for you. They've been doing that in fields for a while. You've been in our greenhouse; it's really hard to fly a drone in there. But that can help with labor when you start taking those manual tasks away from growers, but still giving them the same and even better information to make their decisions on, that brings us to a whole new level. And I think that's the drones in the greenhouse, the imaging analysis that's out there right now. That's probably where I see a lot of opportunity. Obviously, there's some AI built into that. There's a huge potential for AI um, just in climate learning and in crop recipe development. If you can take the last 4 years of climate outside and align it with the last 4 years of climate inside and tell me everything that everything was doing, which you can do right now, but it's going to take you forever. If you can do that, then you're going to be able to make some significantly awesome decisions. And let's just get a drone anyway because they're fun. So
Yeah, heck yeah. Let's go.
right on.
Okay, I do see an answer here. Is that the correct answer, Aaron?
That is absolutely correct. Yes.
Hey, let's go. Okay, all right. Uh, I don't know how to say the name. Eh,
It's
uh,
A. Eversgerd. He's one of my best friends.
Hey, no way. Let's
Yeah.
go.
And he's
Welcome.
probably gonna troll you about that. So
Nice. Well, awesome, man. So, um, do me a favor and shoot me an email to Bryson, Bryson, at edengreen.com. Just let me know that you're the one that won the giveaway, and I'll collect some information from you, and I'll get that shipped out to you next week. All right? Uh, yeah, but thanks for playing. Thanks for
look at
playing.
that. Yeah.
All right, Aaron, we are running up on our last couple minutes here, so let's
Good.
do. Dude, it has flown by, man. It
It
has really
has.
flown
It's been
by.
awesome. It's hard to
Yeah.
get you to shut up. So
No, this has been great, dude.
right on.
Um, okay, let's do this. Let's dream a little. Let's dream about the future.
Okay.
Um, this is kind of a two-parter. So, part one, what do you see happening in the CEA space in the next 10 years? That's a very broad question, I know. And then
Yeah.
part two would be if you could snap your fingers
You did
and change one
it.
thing instantly about your job to make it easier, what would it be?
The Thanos question. You did
The
it.
Thanos question.
Okay, so question one. The potential for CEA is still through the roof. There's so much more to do in this industry. The sky is literally the limit. And people get daunted by some of the failures you've seen. I mean, I hate to see that, but that is how we learn, being the
Yeah.
best teacher. And That's important to us. We all need to learn that way. We all should be learning from that, and then working together, like I mentioned earlier, so that we are not making the same mistakes. I think there should be and will be some conglomeration. I think people need to get together and talk about standards. What does hydroponic mean? What does organic mean? What does quality mean? What is food safety and why it matters to anybody, and what people are willing to pay for?
Yeah.
What matters to the customer, the client, and the grower, and how we translate that into the product for everyone else. This is only going to go up. I think that the the need for not only just lettuce but tomatoes and cucumbers, and I mean, the last 2 years we've been a net importer of a lot of vegetables as the United States. We have some of the most fertile soil and friendliest climate in the world where we live, and
Yeah.
we have a lot of biomes, and greenhouses can now grow just about anywhere. There's no reason that we should be importing that much food.
Yeah.
And so the potential is there, but I think CEA is going to rise to the occasion. I think we're going to step up as an industry and as growers, as companies, and make a big difference in how people get their food and where it comes from.
Wow. And then what about the second one?
Oh, we are out of time. I'm just kidding. I would like to snap you away to make this a lot easier to get this out.
Wow.
Oh,
Oh.
dang. I'm just kidding.
Oh.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I don't know if it would make my job easier, but I wish that I could snap my fingers and just get everybody to understand how hard it is to grow food and get it places and where your food comes from. I wish that I could snap that education in everybody's brain. And I don't even know everything. I mean, I'm serious. No one's dumb about it. Everyone understands that food is not grown in their backyard. But when you really start digging into it, I wish people would understand how hard that is and how many people work so hard to bring that food to you, farmers and growers and greenhouses. And also some of the things that come along with that, the carbon footprint and the quality and the food waste and the cost of people's time and effort, but also of energy and resources, and that this should be done better. Little I don't mean to be a downer, but I wish that I hope that we can all achieve that education.
That's awesome, man.
Over the
No,
country.
that's great. I mean, that's a really real answer. And you know me, I appreciate realness.
Yeah.
Um,
And the Cardinals would win the World Series there.
okay. All right. Well, you only get one snap. Okay.
Over the
Just one.
Rangers.
Just one. Yeah. Well, dude, man, I appreciate your time,
Right
man.
on,
Like I
man.
said, it's been
Thanks,
super
Bryson.
fun. It went by super fast.
Yeah, it
Um,
was awesome. It was
where, so if people want to connect with you, if they have questions or anything like that, where
Mhm.
can they reach you?
LinkedIn. Hit me up on LinkedIn. That's your best bet. I'm old enough not to have enough cool social media accounts, so hit me up on LinkedIn.
Nice. And how do you spell your name for people looking?
AARONFIELDS.
Nice. Aaron Fields, multiple
That is
fields of Aaron.
multiple fields of Aaron. A multi-field verse. Yeah.
Yes. Wow. Oh, oh. Shoot,
Oh.
man. All right, dude.
Thanks,
Well, have a
Bryson,
good night,
buddy.
bro. Appreciate it,
Yeah.
man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
All
it.
right,
It's
dude. Take it
awesome.
easy.
Take care. Bye
Bye.
bye.